This is r/pro revenge. Welcome to our channel where OP catches his wife cheating with his business partner. Our next post is from a user. My father started a very successful business with two other guys right after college. They put in equal shares, and since the business involved programming, they named it Binary Tree Solutions. I am not going to go into great detail about what they do, but basically they get contracts to build software systems for other companies and government agencies. It was a bit annoying that he was quitting just as things were getting busy again, but he let him go. A month goes by and the other partner comes to my dad and tells him that he is going to quit as well. And yes, they were all exactly the same price as the original bid. This individual was incredibly smart and capable and was also lazy and hated his job. He only did the bare minimum and often came in late and left early. But he somehow managed to convince the boss that he was indispensable. My uncle was head chef at a fancy pants French restaurant. When the bill arrived, the party decided to split the cost evenly, $250 a person. My uncle saw that the bill was split evenly, so he charged them extra for the fifth meal. The critic tried to complain, but my uncle just pointed out that he had eaten from the menu just like the rest of them. The critic had no choice but to pay. Down in the comments we have this story from Disapproving Dragonfly. Not quite r/pro revenge, but my dad had a similar thing happen to him. He was a manager at a store that shall remain nameless. This guy was so difficult to work with. Let's call him Mark. He constantly berated my dad, questioning his choices, micromanaging him, etc. My dad was trying to be nice, so he explained why he made certain decisions and tried to get Mark to understand. Mark just kept saying that he was doing a bad job, etc. There was a famous food critic who lived in the area and had given the restaurant bad reviews in the past, though they had fixed the problems he mentioned. Of course, this caused issues. My dad knew it, so he quit the next day. A few months passed and my dad found a new job. One day he was walking past his old workplace and decided to pop in to see what was up. Mark was standing by the front desk talking to a customer. When Mark saw my dad, he visibly paled. My dad said hello. He then turned to the customer and said, "Don't buy anything. This guy is the manager here and he sucks." My dad then walked out. Mark tried to stop him, but my dad kept walking. When he looked back, Mark was gone and the customer was staring at the door in shock. So everyone was looking forward to his return to see if he would improve his review. The restaurant was completely booked. You guys need to find a way to work it into your stories more often. If you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day. This boss was terrible and believed everything this guy told him. It turns out that my dad's ex-partners had copied all of the clients' proposals and had just switched out the names of the companies. Soon after, he announced that he was quitting and gave 2 weeks' notice. In his resignation letter, he claimed that he had found a better job, but he would miss working with us. During his remaining 2 weeks, he refused to help anyone learn his position, even though he had been trained by someone else and had been given extra help when he started. He said that his replacement would have to figure it out themselves. The boss chewed out this guy for not helping anyone transition. He replied, "I'm not going to train anyone. I hate this place and you won't be seeing any of my reports." He also said that there were loads of things that he hadn't written down. The boss was furious and fired him on the spot. He then proceeded to accuse me of purposely sabotaging the company by refusing to share my reports. I laughed and said that he had been refusing to write down his reports and that I could unread his mind. The boss looked embarrassed and apologized, then asked if I would help train his replacement. I happily agreed and spent a week showing the new guy how to do everything. My dad couldn't believe it. It was so dumb, yet so effective. It was also malicious compliance at its finest. My dad is annoyed at this point because this leaves him to do all the work with none of the credit. He asks why they're both leaving at the same time and they tell him that they're going to start their own competing business. My dad is floored. He thought that he had made it clear that that was not allowed under their contracts. They said that they were pretty sure that the contract wouldn't stand up in court, and even if it did, they'd just pay the damages. My dad isn't sure what to do, but ultimately figures that it's not worth fighting over. Due to the nature of their work, confidentiality and NDA agreements are super important. When they arrive, they sit down and pull out a folder full of proposals that they say that they wrote with my dad. He looks through it and finds that each proposal is essentially a copy of a proposal that he had previously sent to a client with minor changes to adjust for changes in feedback. They claim that these proposals are confidential and that they belong to the new company, so they want my dad to send them over along with all of the relevant files. My dad knows that he doesn't stand a chance in court, so he gives them the information that they want and sends them off on their way. So while they didn't deal with client data or anything like that, they did sign a lot of Now, my dad was the kind of guy who always pushed to include more terms in the NDAs, especially those concerning the employees. Since he was the one who hired them and paid for the training, he wanted to make sure that nobody went out and tried to sell the trade secrets of a new client to someone else. To my dad's horror, both of his partners had a clause written into their contract that allowed them to take any clients with them if they left the company. My dad's partners said that it was standard procedure in their industry, and my dad should stop worrying and just accept it. After some arguing, my dad eventually relented. though he still complained about it. Fast forward a couple of decades and the business is still running strong. They've taken on a bunch of new clients and expanded internationally. They even had a few big public wins where they actually got recognition for their work. Both of my dad's partners had been complaining about being stuck doing the day-to-day operations and wanted my dad to take over management so they could focus on sales and recruiting. Now, normally, my dad would have done that because he liked that sort of thing, but he was burned out and instead offered to split management duties evenly between them. His partners accepted and they signed a new contract to that effect. 1 week later, one of the partners comes to my dad and says that he's quitting. My dad was surprised but not really upset. The next day, the two ex-partners call him and say that they want to meet to discuss splitting up the clients. The next day, my dad gets a call from one of his clients who wants to know why she received 3 identical bids for a software update from the same company. Down in the comments, we have this story from Throwaway Account 2876. I did something similar. Many years ago, I worked for a company. A little while later, this guy started coming in even later and leaving even earlier, claiming that he was busy with an exciting new project. And our final story is from Sir Kixalot. On the day of the visit, my uncle made an exquisite meal for him and his party of 4. They raved about the flavors and presentation. One day my dad had enough and told Mark to F off. Oopie, I love your username. That's all I have to say.